guys, this is Comic and today I'm doing a review for Digimon Tri Part 3. So if you haven't been following, I have done reviews for Part 1 and Part 2. I actually just recently saw the Digimon dub version of Part 1. Hopefully Part 2 will come out soon. I was very happy with seeing the dub because I feel like it is a different experience than reading in sub. I'm usually not into reading sub for anime because I like paying attention to kind of the whole scope of everything going on. I will say the Digimon dub was just okay, just in general, just because I feel like Part 1, also if you look back at it, is also a little slower than the other parts, so we'll see how they do with Part 2. Also, I feel like the score could have been better in the dub, but let's start talking about this. Let's start talking about Part 3. So with the last part, we got to see more of a concentration on Joe and Mimi. Now this, I feel like you do obviously have two characters focused on more, which was TK and definitely Izzy, but I feel like this was more of a plot-driven episode. I feel like Part 1 was more of like, alright, we gotta set everything up, what's going on in this world, what's going on with our characters, and then Part 2 had to do with definitely more development of characters that really never got the spotlight, which was Mimi and Joe, so they definitely deserved it. It was my favorite part. And now we're moving on to Part 3, which is very much more plot-driven, which was needed, honestly. Because before, you know, it was a little slow with, oh, infected Digimon, what's going on? Who the hell are these government people? And this kind of describes it a little bit more. So let me talk about the plot before I go into the Izzy and TK story. But the plot of these 5 episodes, I will say that's the difference too. The other movies, they were 4 parts. So this part, this movie was 5 parts. So it was about 20 minutes longer, which I'll talk about if that was necessary or not. But yeah, with this we get to see, you know, May's Digimon totally infected, which we knew from Part 2, and it's affecting our beloved Digimon, and especially TK's Digimon. And again, I should state that I'm using the American names just because that's what I'm used to. I usually state that in the review earlier. I'm stating that here now. Anyway, so we get to see Patamon is affected by it, and the other Digimon are being affected, and they have to say goodbye to their Digimon partners, and some of them don't know, some do. There's definitely a lot of secret keeping in this part of the movie, and we get to see that the digital world is rebooted. And what does that mean? That means the Digimon of our Digidestined do not remember the Digimon partners they once had. Now, we also learn in the end here a little bit more about the government thing than God. It looks like the woman's evil. That's what it looks like in the end of this, the last part. And, you know, this whole time where you feel like, oh, Ken's going to be a part of this. If you didn't watch Digimon Adventure 2, that has to do with that part a little bit more, which I will say, this part, I felt like I had to do more with Digimon Adventure 2 than any of the other parts, because there's a good amount of references to that season. So we get to see Ken, but we realize it's someone else. So what is this whole government thing about? Why is this woman evil? Or not evil? I don't know. Maybe she's like, I don't know what she is. I'm really curious about that. Now, let me just talk a little bit about the negatives, which I don't think there's a lot. Again, I think the most negatives I've had about Tri is probably Part 1, because it's so slow. And after rewatching it in dub, Part 2 and Part 3 are a lot better. My only negatives, I would say, and I think they fixed this a bit in the last part, is May, I think as a character, could be developed a little bit more, but they did develop her in the last episode of this, so I can't really complain too much about that. I still feel like I don't have as much connection to her as I do to, obviously, the other Digidestined, especially everything I mean, the whole time in this whole movie, it's her running around saying, May, you know, whatever, her Digimon's called. I think it's Maymon or something. It's actually very similar to her name. So she's yelling for her Digimon the whole time, which you understand, but I feel like if it's TK, which he did that in this episode, if he does it, you're feeling that emotion. You're feeling that. With May, on the other hand, I don't think they developed her enough for us to be emotionally connected to the character. I hope that will change as episodes go on. Other thing is the government stuff. Yes, I am very happy that's developed, and it was developed in the last episode of this movie, but still not fully developed. And I have a feeling the reason they're doing it is because it's the mystery of the whole entire series, is what is this government? Who's the villain? But at the same time, it's a little bit too mysterious where there's no actual depth to those characters, so that kind of needs to change. It's starting to change. Like I said, as we unravel the mystery, at least she's known as something, because it's obviously the woman government person that's more important than the teacher. But yeah, you see some obvious clues that she's the villain of the story. We don't know why, but I really think they need to start building her up before we get into the big revelation and it falls flat, because like, oh, when did we ever care about this character? Yeah, she was there, but we don't really know much about her. So that's something I hope they could do more in the next part, which, yes, we're unraveling the mystery, but give us more character development for all of them before you reveal the mystery. Strengths of this episode, our movie, is 100% the emotion, the emotional weight. I think that's honestly the big success of Digimon Tri in general, is that because you're so connected to these characters already, the trials and errors that they go through in all these movies, you feel very emotionally invested to their journey. It's very much more character driven, these stories, than the old Digimon stuff. And the old Digimon stuff was very character driven too, but you definitely feel the weight more in Tri. Not that now they're going into adulthood. They're really contemplating of who they are and what their place in the world is. And that's very much true here. But of course they still have, you know, them being the Digi-Destined, and that doesn't mean because they were kids when this happened that they can't be the Digi-Destined in the future. It's very interesting. So I enjoyed that aspect. And I love that in this part we get to see the Digi-Destined kind of become, because they've always been characters, but I feel like their characters were relying so much on their Digimon that they didn't really have their own strength as just characters. And now with them not having Digimon and having to connect to them again, gives the Digi-Destined a little bit more power, and especially because they actually mention the crests in this movie more than the other ones, so it has to actually show, yeah, you know, the digital device does do something. Yeah, we're connected and we have powers too. So I like that, because I feel like before, at least in these movies, it's just like because they have such a strong bond, you're not really seeing them level up in any way and become more powerful. Besides, maybe there's another evolution. I think, again, Mimi and Joe did that very well in the last movie, but here it's just like the Digimon fighting for the sake of living and trying to preserve their memories, but the kids are just kind of standing there. So I'm glad that they're being more active and just being part of the journey a little bit more, and hopefully we'll see more of that in the future. I'm also curious, I think a character I was really curious about in this movie, well, I guess I'll go into, no, I want to talk about the character I'm curious about, because I was talking about Digimon Adventure 2 was very much alluded to in this movie, which was Ken. Obviously, if you didn't watch Adventure 2, he was a, you know, main villain there, main character, but also Kari. Kari was a really interesting character, because I feel like that's another thing. I feel like the movies have been hiding her in a lot of ways, because like she's there, like she's doing stuff, but she's not very much a main character. You know, she's part of the group, but she hasn't really had her own arc. But here, we're starting to see that she might be special. They might have been keeping her arc for a reason, which I think the next poster is actually Sora, Tai, and Matt. So maybe after that, why leave Kari for last? Is it because she's the key to all this? And obviously that's something we've seen before. Kari's been the key of stuff before. And I think that'd be an interesting twist, is that obviously Kari's important, but it's always usually Matt and Tai doing something. Let one of the leading ladies be the main key of something. Let's see that. I think that would be a nice change for Tri. Not that they haven't done it in the past. Like I said, Kari has been a main plot member, but let her do some more. So I'm hoping that's a reason that they're kind of savoring her plot. But yeah, they mention, you know, that dark ocean that she saw in, I don't know if that's the name of it, but in Adventure 2, where she kept having those visions, and it seems like that other world might be referenced even more in Tri, and Kari might be connected to that. I also like the reference of her Digimon when they meet again, and obviously they don't remember anybody. We have her Digimon have a whistle, which obviously is just a call back to Kari and her whistle. Then she had a camera, and now she doesn't really have anything around her neck. But yeah, the whistle, is it because Kari's important? Is she the key of something? Or is it just like nostalgia's sake, let's bring in this whistle, but show that the Digimon remember something. Maybe they have that whistle for a reason. They remember about that whistle. So I might be digging into it too deeply or analyzing it too much, but I think Kari might be the key of something. So I really like that, and I like that we got a little bit more from her, especially because she interacted with the villain a bit in this episode too. But again, the characters that are most, developed here is definitely Izzy and TK. TK not wanting to say that his Digimon, Patamon, has, any infection, and maybe that's because, and after that, maybe that's the reason why all the other Digimon were infected. Was it his fault? He definitely blames himself. But then we find out that May is actually the reason this whole infection's happening, and her Digimon is the real thing that's going on. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. But then it was also cool that Izzy became, like, this main character of this, I guess, part. I didn't expect that. I thought it was just going to be a TK episode or movie. But then we see a little bit more with Izzy, and I think, honestly, he had the stronger role here, where you're really seeing that he's not really having fun doing the stuff he usually loves, which is technology. So it was cool that, his Digimon notices, hey, you're not having fun. Have fun. And you really see a lot of the Digimon analyze each other's Digidestin. Sora being another one. Her Digimon's like, hey, stop caring about everyone else all the time. Care about yourself sometimes. I want that for you. And again, that was the strongest part of this movie, is that you see the bond. It's at its best here. It really is. And then it's so heartbreaking when it's taken away. I will say some of the emotional beats in the last episode could have been better, just because some of the score could have been a little better. Of like, oh, Izzy's trying to talk to everybody. Everyone's just kind of dealing with their own stuff. I think maybe they honestly could have a whole nother episode of them dealing with their emotions of, losing their Digimon, and Izzy being the only one who's really showing that he cares, but obviously everyone does. So I thought this was a very good movie to show plot progression, obviously, but I will say I like part 2 more, just because, again, I like the character development so well there, and I really liked it. But here, I think it really goes back to the roots of Digimon, bringing them back to the digital world, and even them making reference of, hey, we're older now. Does it matter? Are we still the people we were? And I'm excited to hopefully see more of that, of like, hey, we're older. Does that still mean we're digital destined people? We're still the digital destined. What does that mean for our future? Are we always going to have our Digimon, or is this just kind of something we have as teens and kids? So I think that'll be a really cool thing to analyze throughout the show, which I think they have. They've really shown them going into adulthood throughout all 3 movies of Tri. But yeah, I think it just kind of keeps upping the ante with the story. Story-wise, again, this was great. And this is very, very solid, I would say, movie. I would give it 4.25 stars. Really enjoyed it, and can't wait for the next part. And of course, I'll do a review for that one that's out. It looks like it's going to be Sora-driven, which I'm excited, because again, she's another character that's kind of been, obviously she's been active, but a little bit more painted to the background than the others. So very excited to see more development from her. So this is Comic Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this part of Digimon, and I will see you guys later. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there are links for my comic book, Like Father Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father Like Daughter. I'll see you guys later. Bye.